Welcome, welcome, welcome. So good to be here. It's Monday. You know, one of my favorite days of the week because I get to do this. It's so good. I'm Allan Karl, the host here of the Journeys Webcast and WorldRider TV over on my YouTube channel. Hey, by the way, in the offer column over there in your sidebar is a link. If you're not already subscribed to the WorldRider YouTube channel, get over there and subscribe now because replays for all these Journeys webcasts, as well as videos from all over the world, can be found there. So there's a Tom. Okay, I'm not hearing my headphones here. Can you guys all hear me? Okay, maybe that's a little better. Hey, I'm sorry about the took, this thing. And maybe Tom will know that. That's in Canada, what they call these beanies. All right. Patty's with us again. All right. Great to see you guys. All right. Everybody can hear me. Hey, we're going to have this is the third time I've actually done this where you guys are my guest, be my guest. And I'm so happy to see wow, Cristian is with me from Chile. I've got Sitara from Baja California, Mexico. So I already know some great guests here that can do it. Legendary. So well, before we bring you guys on, I just want to kind of just do a quick, do my typical update. But first of all, for those of you who maybe this is your first Journeys webcast, just a little bit of business. If it freezes or something weird happens, go ahead and there's a little button up at the top that should say reconnect or problems, and I can't see it on mine, but you guys can see it. Just do that and that will reconnect. For those of you who want to come on and chat with me for a little bit, once I will give you you'll get a note saying you're being invited into the live room. It's going to go through a quick little test to test your camera and your microphone. And then you'll be into the room and we'll chat for a bit and bring somebody else on. So this should be pretty easy. I've set the theme for this because tomorrow is Groundhog Day. Now, for those of you who have never seen the movie, Bill Murray, it's a classic. It's legendary. Go over to Netflix. It should be there. It's somewhere on Amazon Prime. But it's kind of funny because it's also 2021. And 2020 is kind of a year a lot of us would like to erase off the board, right? We don't want to have to go through that again. But poor Bill Murray in that movie, Groundhog Day, every day he wakes up, it's the same exact thing all over again. And we're just hoping now that 2021 is not a Groundhog Day moment. But also, I know I just seeing on the news and Instagram people with all the snow going on east of here. Of course, I'm here in North County, San Diego. It's like 55 degrees. It's a bit cold. So that's why I'm wearing the beanie. I have a little space heater over here that I like to turn on. In fact, my cat usually sits in this chair right next to me. And she loves it when that heater is on, but it makes too much noise, would interfere. So I'm putting the hat on just to give me a little bit of warmth. I got my warm shirt on. Okay, so update. Here we are, Journeys Webcast, the 31st episode. I started this back in April of 2020, speaking of 2020, and I had no idea that it would go on like this and have had so many great, incredible guests. But in the middle of all this stuff, in the middle of the pandemic, in the middle of my exploring these new live stream webcasts so I could connect with people all over the world, like Sitara today and Cristian and others of you, I've also had a bout with vertigo, and it's kind of now become kind of a normal thing just to give you guys an update. I'm still not 100%, but I got to say that I see light at the end of the tunnel. I probably have said this before. I'm going to actually in the sidebar over here, let's just kind of take this one off. And if I want to put this, there we go, right here. So for those of you who don't know a little bit of the history that I had with vertigo, there's a link in the sidebar. You can click that bookmark, watch that video later on. You'll get a hint of what I've been doing. But I get good days and I get bad days, and it's not like the rooms are spinning and I'm falling around and over. It's just this lightheaded kind of, drunken sailor hangover, floaty, boaty feeling, and it's just kind of weird. Yesterday was actually a really pretty good day. Today is so. It just happens. But the whole thing I look for is to have more and more each day, more good days, and that's what I had. So that's the Vertigo update. I guess this is V-Day for me because I also want to talk about the vaccine, and just really briefly, maybe calm some nerves, or at least just to try to offer a different perspective, because it's been challenging. So while we have V-Day, we have the Vertigo update, the vaccine. So we know the rollout's been bumpy, okay, but people are getting vaccinated. There are a lot of people, though, that might be worried. People want the vaccine for sure, but others are afraid of it. Then there's those anti-vaxxers, but we're not going to really talk about that group today. Some are worried and have valid concerns, I would say, perhaps even the information on the efficacy rates of the various vaccines that's currently making headlines. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But let's talk about those who want it, the vaccine, or those who are a bit tepid, and what's important to know here. Now, I'm no doctor or epidemiologist. How about that word? I mean, did you ever think that we would all be using that word? How did that get into our lexicon? It's pretty funny, I think. But I've been reading quite a bit, from reliable, and I will say for sure trustworthy sources, scientists, and data. First of all, I think we need to know coronaviruses are not new. This just didn't happen out of Wuhan, China, or wherever. Because in the past, you might have even had a coronavirus. It's true. They do have flu-like symptoms. But the fact is, and we just got to embrace this, we're never really going to 100% get rid of it. But what we need to do is just tamp it down, so to speak. Put it in its place. It's kind of like reducing a serial killer to like a shoplifter or a petty thief. They're just annoying to deal with. So we move away from about worrying and about counting infections. The worries should be about hospitalizations, deaths, and certainly long-term effects. So let's go back to that efficacy thing and why it shouldn't concern you. There are currently 5 vaccines. Now, 2 of them have gotten emergency authorization and are already in use, the Moderna and the Pfizer. And they're touted to have about a 94% effectiveness. Now, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which in a week or 2, they'll be applying for emergency use authorization as well, has a lot less, but it requires only a single dose, and it can be stored in a common fridge. Now, the Novavax and AstraZeneca data looks good, but here's the deal. About 75,000 people have participated in trials for all 5 of those vaccines in aggregate. Not one of them has died from COVID. And while only a few have been hospitalized, but none remained 28 days in the hospital after receiving one of their shots. Now, compare this to the 75,000 people, the representative group that didn't get a shot, and look at what COVID did to them. It killed about 150 of them and sent about 300 or so to hospitals. Now, if they had taken any of those vaccines, those numbers would drop to 0. Now, keep in mind, the flu every year kills between 5 and 15 out of 75,000 adults and sends maybe 100 of them to the hospital. So we want to tamp down and tame COVID-19 and its new variants to similar levels or better. So like when you read that Johnson & Johnson vaccine is 66% effective and Novavax, I think, sits at around 89%, you got to remember that in these trials, they count even a mild symptom. Think like a cough, you got the sniffles, as a failure. And the efficacy rate, I can say that word, takes a hit as a result of just even, a mild symptom, let alone death or that. So remember, with the trials, not one death and just a handful of hospitalizations. So if we can get there, we can go back to work, kids can go back to school, and all of us can meet at a bar for a glass of wine and a plate of charcuterie. I just had to say that. Charcuterie. We all want to do that. Hey, as of today, the day before Groundhog Day, the data does look good. We will tame the beast. But we have to focus on what's right and what's good. not what's wrong or what looks bad. Okay? So if you're contemplating about which of the vaccines you want to get, follow the data and what the experts say. Get the one you can get tomorrow, not next week or next month. Okay, so that's my little speak on vaccines. Hey, I can see Jack Mays. All right, man, we have a great crew of guests coming on here. I can see, and Bill Gertine, an NSA, and that's from the National Speakers Association, not the National Security Association, and that's we like to say, Bill. Remember, we used to say we're the NSA, but we're the ones that like to speak, not listen. Hey, so what I'm going to do is just kind of get this thing moving. I think Sitara was the first one in. I want to bring in Sitara. In fact, I'm going to go over, if you go over there, hopefully there's a video I'd like you guys all to see about the vertigo if you haven't seen it yet. Click on that before I remove the offer. I put it back up. But I want to put in another. These aren't offers, but that's just this. I can't change the terminology, but it's just kind of I'm sharing links. So right now I'm putting up a link to Valley Girl Vino, or as we like to say, Valle Chica del Vino. I don't know, but it's Valley Girl Vino. And Sitara Perez, who's a good friend of mine. Let me see how I can do this. Sitara, I'm going to go into that. Chat, Sitara. We'll see if I'm going to invite you. So you should get a little note. Invite as a presenter. So something should click there, and then you're going to go through a little process. It'll walk you through that, and you can come in the room. And while Sitara gets that link, if you have a problem, just text me in the chat room right here. I'm going to play a video because Sitara was a guest when I filmed my pilot TV show for the Travel Channel Cooking Channel. We filmed down in the Valle de Guadalupe in Baja California. And we did a scene at a great restaurant, actually an outdoor restaurant, afuera, we like to say, outside. And, okay, Sitara, coming in. You might have to click your camera on. There might be a little button there you have to push to make your camera live.
Okay. I got
Hey!
Hi, Allan.
Hey, welcome.
Hey,
welcome.
It's good to see. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Perfect.
Hey, just tell us where you are, where you're dialing in from, and what it looks like there right now.
Well, I live in the beautiful Valle de Guadalupe in Baja California. It's a wine valley, so it's kind of between Tijuana and Ensenada. And it is beautiful, fresh air and sunshine. Today we have a little cloud cover. It's actually surprisingly warm. I know that you're chilly where you are. I think the cloud cover is keeping us kind of crispy. And we've gotten a little rain recently, so it's very, very green, very beautiful. The roads are a mess, but other than that, it's pretty lovely to be here.
Hey, let me just play a bit of this video for the folks that are tuned in here, and then we'll come back at the other side of this and chat further because this is good. This is bring back a good memory.
I can't wait.
I'm riding south from San Diego and heading into Mexico. There's much to learn about Mexico's rich history, especially through its food. I'm going to find out just who invented what is perhaps the world's most famous salad.
There's no kitchen here. Everything is prepped and cooked on fire right out here.
Who really made the first margarita? I'll try to settle a century-old dispute. Let's not forget to indulge in the nightlife, from the crazy to, well, the unusual. And this adventure begins in the Mexico border town of Tijuana. My name is Allan Karl, and I like to keep moving. I'm an author, adventurer, and global food explorer. I've ridden through 75 countries so far, and I'm not stopping until I've been to them all.
This is crazy!
I'm on a quest, searching for the most unique food. Come, ride with me. People have been planting vineyards here for over 120 years. making it one of the oldest wine-producing areas on the continent. But only in the last 20 years has this place started to develop a following.
When people think of Mexico, they're thinking cerveza, tacos, tequila.
Well, the tequila and the tacos we use quite a bit.
They're pretty good though,
Yes,
right?
they're really good.
But yet it's much more, isn't it?
Yeah.
To find this hidden valley, veer off the beaten track. Take the back roads, far from the beaches and the coast. Or, if you dare, come by helicopter.
You've got a helicopter.
Hey, I have a helicopter pad.
You've got a helicopter pad.
Helicopters come mostly from San Diego. They come for breakfast, they come for lunch, they come for dinner, and then they go back home, but they buy the wines here. Before it was always the wine, France and Italy, and of course, and now it's just like, wow, the wine is good too. It really is
Hop on
amazing.
my bike and head through the vineyards to get to a hidden restaurant tucked into the hillside, a place fueled by passion and fire. Deckman's is an outdoor restaurant that serves farm-to-table fare under pine trees on these rustic wooden tables beneath the warm glow of festoon lights.
There's no kitchen here. Y preparado también? Todo fuera?
Todo afuera.
Everything is prepped and cooked on fire right out here in this kitchen. ¿Qué es?
Arrachera.
Oh, okay, skirt steak.
Yeah.
Look at the size of those ribeyes.
Yeah.
Man. Ah, tortillas.
Yeah.
They're making tortillas right out here on the fire. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Perfectly crisp. Everything here cooked on the fire.
It's like you've got a backstage pass to the world's most incredible barbecue. To learn more about how the food here is changing this part of Mexico, I join a table full of heavy hitters from the local winemaking and culinary scene.
Deckman's. I mean, this has become like one of the go-to places.
It's iconic.
I don't think the rest of the world knows what's going on and how beautiful this place is.
They're starting to know little by little, but it's really still very much a regional treasure.
This is like Napa used to be in the 70s, and it's amazing.
Culture is growing here.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I've recognized is how proud Mexicans are of the culture here.
Hot off the open fire, it's time to feast on some of the best food in the valley.
Octopus, bone marrow, quail.
Yeah, boom. This is amazing.
Homemade bread with some grace of the same bone marrow.
The thing about these three plates is nothing from these dishes came from further than 100 miles away from where we are right now.
Oh my God. People, when they think of Mexico,
Have to break that.
look what you can find here.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
have to
do.
break that stereotype of the
You're right,
Yeah.
Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, how are we going to do that?
We're doing it.
We're doing it here, right?
Right now,
By eating and drinking.
more food.
Oh yeah, we got more food.
Oh, that was fun. God, how many years ago was that?
That was in 2018.
Okay.
So you know, a couple years. I mean, we're barely into 2021. It was at a time we could sit outside and be close and
I know, right?
and
Elbow to
cuddle.
elbow.
Yeah. So, do you have a glass of wine?
I do actually. I've got my do you?
I am going to pour one right now. I've got
Okay.
I'm going to share with you. I wish I had a Baja wine here, but this is a
What's that?
El Dorado Hills Grenache Blanc
Lovely.
from Skinner, and there's nothing better than toasting to Baja California, to the Journeys Webcast, and to seeing you. Cheers.
100%. Great to see you. I'm drinking Grenache also, but it's a Grenache Noir, and it's my Provence style rosé. Ta-da!
All right. Okay, that says La Traviesa.
La Traviesa.
Traviesa. So tell us what Traviesa is, and then I want to kind of quickly get a sense of how things are in COVID down in Baja, and
Sure.
and how your business is doing, and
Sure.
of course about the wine.
Sure. Talk all day about wine. Well, it's a stainless steel rosé. It's 100% Grenache Noir. It's very, very fresh and floral, and it has a lot of like white cherry and white nectarine. It's kind of my go-to if I feel like just something light and refreshing. And as far as the Valle goes, I mean, I have to say, we feel pretty far removed from what's going on in the world with COVID. It's barely touched us at all here. But, you know, I live out in the country, I don't live in the city. It's wide open spaces. I mean, you saw in the video how beautiful it is. So it's, it's vineyards, and our neighbors are pretty spread out. And honestly, there's not a lot of panic or freakiness or sick people here at all.
Yeah. So if somebody is but it's tough now, of course, right over the border. I mean, we know that, you and I were chatting yesterday a bit about how Tijuana has been hit pretty hard. It's very close to the border of, obviously it's the busiest border crossing in the world.
Absolutely.
Although not a lot of people are crossing it now but San Diego, California's been hit very hard with COVID.
Yeah.
Tijuana got hit pretty hard, probably as a result of its proximity.
Mexicali got hit pretty good too.
Yeah, Mexicali. But let's talk about you. You are what we love, and that is a female winemaker. It doesn't matter where you are. We always I think most of the best wines are made by women, but that's just my humble opinion. How did you get? Because you're not Mexican. You're a U.S. passport holder, right?
I am a U.S. passport holder, but my grandmother was born in the state of Coahuila, which is also a wine growing region. In fact, Casa Madero is only 2 hours from where my grandmother was born, and Casa Madero is the oldest continuously running winery in North America. So I've got wine in my blood, and I've got wine in my blood, literally, as well as historically through my family lineage. And I do have Mexican roots, but I am an American citizen. Yes.
Right. And you were born and raised here. But you never, until this new adventure at Valle Girl, you never lived in Mexico.
No, I lived in Costa Rica 11 years, and then I lived in Buenos Aires for 6 months, and I lived in Peru and Ecuador, and worked in all these different places, and traveled, not as extensively as you have, but I did have was fortunate enough to do a bit of world travel. So but I moved to Mexico in 2012 to sort of reinvent myself, kind of come back to my family roots, reinvent myself. I found wine here, and I wanted to reinvent myself in the world of wine. And so it's been a perfect fit.
Yeah. So you moved there in 2012. When was the first vintage Valley Girl wine?
2012.
Was it 12? It was. You jumped right in.
I jumped right in.
Now, wait a minute. So now you never made wine before, but you were a pretty good consumer, I'm guessing.
Oh, exactly. When people ask me how I got into the wine business, my answer always is by drinking it, of course. Right?
Yeah. Cheers to that. So the Valle, as we say, Valle de Guadalupe, is burgeoning. I mean, people are starting to know about it. It is hitting, it's getting good press, obviously, up until this, from that, that TV episode, we filmed. I was, obviously Deckman's is just one of, Michelin star quality restaurants throughout the Valle, and some really cool wineries. And not only are they making good wine, but you have several local architects doing some really interesting architecture.
It's really rich here. I mean, the gastronomy scene is off the charts. It might be more famous even than the wines. And you're right. I mean, this is not a place that's very cookie cutter in any way, shape, or form. I mean, the creativity of some of these wineries, the way they're put together, and actually the winemakers themselves, because we don't have any restrictions here. So there's a lot of outlaw style winemaking here. Pretty much we do whatever we want. And, there's not all of the wines are premium and beautiful, but it's just the quality of the wines have been improving so much, even just in the last 8 years since I moved here. It's pretty exciting.
So how many different wines do you make, and what's your production? And if people who are tuning in, or if they're watching the replay here on YouTube, and as we all get vaccinated and people feel more comfortable about moving, about crossing borders, what wines should they drink from Valle de Guadalupe, including your wines? And and how can they find you? Now, I've put up a link to your website on the sidebar, by the way. But I'll also include it in the replay for those who are watching this on YouTube. It'll be in the description below, so you can find Sitara. But tell us.
Well, I make 8 different wines currently. I shouldn't say that. Currently, I have 8 labels that are available for sale. 3 whites, a dry rosé, and 4 reds. But you know what? That varies because though I have labels and I have profiles that I'm always looking for, I do like to experiment. And, so that changes up. Valle de Guadalupe is known specifically for its reds, but just in the last several years, whites and rosés have become of interest as well as sparkling wines. And I would love to make a sparkler. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I am not set up to do that yet. I've become sort of known. I've gotten more acknowledgement for my white wines. I've won some international, awards for my white wines. And I look for, very aromatic and floral profiles. And I have a lot of fun with the whites. They're a lot more challenging to make than people realize. Reds almost make themselves, pretty much if you start with good grapes, you can't screw it up. But with white wines, it really requires technique and finesse. And so I'm pleased that I can make a quality white wine. Probably the poster child right now for this area is the Mexican Nebbiolo. So the Mexican Nebbiolo is not, it is a stock that comes from Italy, but it turns out it's not actually Nebbiolo from Italy. It's a different grape varietal, but when it came over, the tags were lost. So they planted it and said, well, this is Nebbiolo. And now, DNA studies have shown that it's not. But we still refer to it as Mexican Nebbiolo. And it's a powerful, structured wine, very beautiful wine. My reds. So I have a new red. I want to tell you about it.
Okay. Tell me about the new red.
Okay. So my daughter, who's a sommelier, we're going through all the reds. We drink from tank, we drink from barrel. We're sampling everything, swishing and spitting, because it's a lot of wine to get through. And we get to this one wine, and it's a 2019 Cabernet Sauvignon, brand new. And we start sipping on it. My daughter says, I'm not spitting this out. This is delicious. So I try it, and I'm like, wow, this is really good. I could drink this right now. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. No, we got to barrel it. We've got to do this 2-year aging thing. And then it's got to da-da-da-da. And I was like, screw it. This wine is ready to drink now. So I put it in a bottle. 0 oak. It's the most pure expression of Cabernet. It's like squeezing the grapes right into your glass. And I called it La Rebelde, the rebellious girl, because it's an unconventional presentation of Cabernet. And it's kind of my new go-to right now.
Neat. Oh, I can't wait to try it. Hey, 2 things. So coming back to that Mexican Nebbiolo, because we have another motorcyclist, another traveler, Cristian, who's on the webcast today. We're going to bring him onto the room soon. Cool. But so same kind of thing. Tags were lost. Crops were planted all over Chile, and they all kept selling it as Merlot. And they finally did their DNA testing. It turned out to be the lost 6th Bordeaux varietal, Carmenere.
Great story. Of course.
Yeah.
The poster child of Chilean wine. Perfect.
The poster child of it is. I mean, it is as the Mexican Nebbiolo is to Baja, as Malbec is to Argentina, Carmenere is to Chile. The second thing is Bill Gertine, my speaker friend from Chicago, who's on the webcast today as well. He's asking right here, it's a mystery question, who is the Valle girl in the silhouette, your logo that I've got posted up there?
Oh God. Okay, so that's my old logo. So when I first started, we call her Sally Balls. I wanted to go with this cabaret theme. I've kind of dropped that since then, and I'm going. So
I'm sorry I don't have the new branding up there. I should have done a little bit.
I'm sorry. Well, it's kind of evolved. It's evolving. We're evolving, right? I'm evolving my labels, my branding, the sophistication.
If you're not growing and evolving, you're dying. So let's go forward. Yeah.
Right. So, but that was fun. I mean, she was just a burlesque dancer. And some people always ask, "Is that you? Is that you?" But no, it wasn't me. I've done my share of dancing, but she's not me. She's just a badass babe.
So tell us a little bit about your location, and what you do, and what people can expect when they come visit you, and when can they? I mean, in terms of when you open.
Sure. Well, I'm really close to the big winery El Cielo, which is very easy to find. So I'm a neighbor to El Cielo.
Which is the sky.
Means the sky, yes. And I'm the only winery that has pink signs. Everybody else has blue signs. So if you look for my pink signs, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm in Google Maps. So I'm not difficult. I'm not long off the beaten path. The main road is a stone's throw away. I will tell you, with the rains, my road is a big, wet, mushy mess, but it's still passable. I am open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The name of my tasting bar is El Corcho Rosa, which means the pink cork. I started with pink synthetic corks and switched to natural cork later. But that's how I got the name. And I have this lovely rustic tasting bar, which you haven't seen in quite a while. We've expanded. We've done a bunch of improvements. We also have an open air kitchen, which is all the food is prepared over fire also. So on the weekends, on Saturdays, we offer wood-fired pizzas and other tapas. And on Sunday, we just got a new badass female chef who works with only only local regional foods. And she's just really super cool. We also feature live music. So nobody else, it seems like, is featuring musicians, and they are just beating down my door. They just want to play so bad. So, and I just love them all to pieces. It makes for a lovely ambiance. So I have a rotating schedule. I have a calendar of events. So you can tune in if you have my QR code or whatever. There'll be some stuff on the website. But anyway, great live music, fun food, and plenty of wine for everyone.
Plenty of wine. So you have live music, you've got good food, you can hear La Macarena as well as La Cucaracha and everything.
Yeah, or Santana, or a little jazz, or some folky blues stuff.
And what about your Instagram? And I'll put that in the link too, but in the replay. But let everybody know live. They should follow you on Instagram because you can see this music and this food.
Thank you. It's at Valle Girl Vino. So Valle is like valley without the Y. It's one word, Valle Girl Vino. So,
which is the same on that offer that I have up there. That's the spelling. So if you forget that, there it is. So that's fantastic. I encourage anybody watching this live, or that when you do feel comfortable about crossing the border, go see Sitara. It is so much fun. It is. Yeah, it's very good. Before I let you go, and we'll bring in Cristian. And we got Jack Mays I want to bring in too, and who knows? We're gonna try to, how much time we got with all of them, but we'll bring Cristian in because he's in Chile. I love to do the international guests. We got Mexico, we got Chile. Nice. What do people need to know about planning a trip to the Valle de Guadalupe and to Baja California in that beautiful wine region?
Well, first of all, I do want to say, because people ask me all the time, the border has never closed. It's been business as usual. You don't get stopped coming into Mexico. It's extremely rare. The paved roads are in good shape. So really I don't have any so some wineries are asking for reservations. It is a good idea. Now I have an open air bar with safe spacing and all that. So it's not so bad. The wineries that are indoors are taking obviously a lot more precautions, but the open air wineries, almost everybody is open. Sometimes they have limited hours, and everybody is following the protocols with masks and the whole 9 yards. And but other than that, social distancing. But other than that, not going to full capacity. Just bring layers.
Dress for the weather, changes in weather.
Because it's kind of almost high desert here, we get extreme temperature changes within one day. It'll be hot in the afternoon, and then all of a sudden it'll drop like 30 degrees or whatever. So yeah, just bring options so you don't freeze, especially if you're doing open air wine tasting, because it does get chilly. I do have a chimenea, which is a cute little place to put fire so people can see.
A little fire to keep warm by. Yeah. Hey, if anybody who's live here has a question before I let Sitara go ahead and pop it onto the chat, and we'll ask her. Otherwise, I'm gonna go and get Cristian in here and let Sitara go. But let's see. We answered the Valle Girl silhouette question. No others. Well, you stick around and watch, and maybe you'll have some questions for Cristian. And if you're still on, we can always bring you back. We can always bring you back on if people start popping in questions.
Sure.
But I want to thank you for being on Be My Guest episode here of Journeys. And I miss you, man. I miss you. I haven't been down there in so long.
It's really been a while.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
It's been
We'll figure out another.
We will.
Well, there'll be wine.
All right. Well,
sure.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
I love you. I love you, Sitara. You're so awesome. People, go visit vallegirlvino.com. Check it out next time you want to have a real cool experience and explore Baja. Go see Sitara. She knows everybody.
Thanks, Allan.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Cristian, I hope you're still there. I could talk to Sitara for hours, but Cristian!
Rock on, you legend!
You legend!
Who wants to pop a bottle of wine?
That looks like a pretty big bottle. How big is that?
This is it. This is the legendary Carmenere Adventure bottle.
the legendary Carmenere Adventure bottle. Well, we should just go right in. We should just go right into that. First of all, Cristian, where are you tuning in from? Tell us where you are and how are things down there in COVID?
Mm-hmm. I'm in Santiago, Chile. I'm in my place. This is the very, very same place where you guys stayed at for a little while back in December 2005, January 2006. It's been a while.
Right. That's right.
It's been a while. And then I visited you, stayed in your place. We got a little bit, busy drinking wines when I interviewed you back then in 2009, and then back again in 2011. So we've been around.
Yeah.
The lockdowns here, it's getting all right. I mean, Chile just got like 2.5 million vaccines. So we're starting off actually this week all the vaccination, protocols with, the elderly, senior citizens, and then, the first assistant hospital people, et cetera, et cetera. So I am one of the last ones. That means that I'm still healthy. so it's going to take us, we are here in Chile about 70 million people. It's not as you guys over 300 million people. So I think the ball is going to be rolling pretty quickly. So hopefully everybody who wants to be vaccinated will be ready by sometime later, the end of April, sometime mid-May, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Very, very cool that you guys got those vaccines. I mean, we're so, it's so tough unless you search it out. Our news is so centric on what's happening here. How was it? Like, what was the worst part of the pandemic for you guys in Chile, and how did things what was life like?
It was surreal. It was back I believe it was in the middle of March last year, and basically we were, I always pay attention to international news. So since I have clients in Asia, I knew something was going on in December 2019. And when things got pretty ugly, sometime late January, sometime February last year in Europe, also I had family and I had friends over there, and they told us, be aware, this thing is going to hit you guys in a month or so. So it did. Mid-March, I believe it was March 16th, March 18th or something like that, borders, locked down. Nobody was allowed to come in and out, and everybody didn't really know. And of course, everybody and, the authorities, freaked out, and everything shut down like it was a war zone. You could not see anybody walking down the streets. The army was guarding, hospitals and electricity facilities, power generation things. And it was really, really, really bizarre. And I would say the worst part of it might have been that time, April, May, okay. June.
Were restaurants totally closed? Were you allowed to go out
totally
shopping? Could you go
just essentials? You had to log into a website where you had to basically give up all your information from, social security numbers, address, phone numbers, emails where you can be reached and things like that. So basically the authorities wanted to find out where everybody went around, just about.
So they were doing some sort of contact tracing to it.
That's right. So if anybody got infected or something like that, they kind of knew where that person was and who was in contact with whom, something like that.
Okay. So do you have a glass of wine?
I don't, because right after this, I'm going to hit the road. I'm going to, go mountain biking for about an hour or two. And here it's 8:45 p.m. So when I come back, I'm going to throw a meat, on the grill and pop my bottle of wine. But in the meantime, this big ass Carmenere bottle.
I want to toast to you. So, and I want it. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk about that big bottle of Carmenere here. But I'll toast to Cristian. It's so great that you are tuned in. I think we could probably, and we should in the future, schedule a full episode so we can really get into chat.
We'll do it.
On that, but I'm so cool. I'm so glad you tuned in to the to this episode. You and I met as you know, you were following me as I was doing my around the world trip, and you right. saw that I was very into wine, and you would log into my blog, you'd comment, you'd send me some emails saying, hey, when you get to Chile, we've got great wine. And eventually, after that, email relationship contact we met, I did meet face to face with Jeremiah and Salvatore
Carlucci.
Yeah. So but there's a bigger story between you and motorcycling and wine. So I want you to share that that story and what that bottle really means, so people can know that, and then we'll make sure to schedule to get in deeper. So
there you go. It all goes down to my family roots. My dad and his family had a winery when I was growing up, so I was always surrounded by wines, and I grew up surrounded by vineyards and things like that. But the wine industry itself is capital intensive, so there's always this conflict between family members. Whether we keep investing or we just sell the winery because it's a non-ending funding of the operation.
We could ask Sitara about that too, huh?
Oh yeah. So you always have these two little things to jiggle around and balance out. Whether you keep on going because perhaps you're not going to see the revenue or the results of it, or you pass it on to your family. In my case, my dad and his family decided just to get rid of the winery, and that was kind of like a breaking point for me. So I went to the United States, finished high school there, came back to Chile, and I got into economics and business, international business. I didn't want to become a winemaker, although I always had the passion for it. Long story short, after a few sabbatical years, going to Europe, making wines in France, in Bordeaux, making wines in Tuscany, and etc., came back to Chile, and I developed my career in exports. Perhaps a lot of people may not know, but Chile is the sometimes fifth largest wine producer in the world. Although being a small country compared to to the United States or other countries, Chile is a really key player in the wine industry overall. And what happened on November 24th, 1994, there was a big wine congress here in Chile. People from all over the world, landed in Chile, and this sort of congresses take places in different locations every other year. So there was a gentleman, a Frenchman called Jean-Michel Boursicot, who is an expert in vines, ampelographer.
Yes.
An ampelographer, an expert.
Look at a leaf. These ampelograpers
right.
look at a leaf.
You look at a leaf, and you basically find out immediately what you're talking about. Is it a Cabernet Sauvignon? Is it a Pinot Noir, Merlot, etc., etc.? So they're walking through some vineyards here in the Central Valley of Chile, and the gentleman asked, hey, what's planted in these vineyards? Okay, oh man, it's kind of like the Chilean Merlot, the Chilean version of a Merlot. What do you mean, the Chilean version of a Merlot? Well, actually, it kind of looks like a Merlot. It kind of tastes like Merlot. It's somehow different, but it's not so close to Cabernet Sauvignon or Cabernet Franc or Chardonnay. So we just might as well say, it's kind of like the Chilean version of a Merlot. Oh, you stupid asses. This is not, Merlot. This is Carmenere. Let's put this in perspective. Think of like this. I come to you and I show you a bone. Fossilized bone. Look, this is a T-Rex bone. Wow. Amazing. Good for you. You sell it to me? Something like that. But then, instead, I come to you and I say, hey, Allan, I want to take you to my farm because I want to show you something. What is it? I have a living T-Rex. Get out of here. You come to me to my farm and I show you a mini little T-Rex, alive and kicking. That is the comparison of finding Carmenere here. But this is pretty interesting to understand.
And let me just jump in there, and that's because there had this Carmenere, a type of grape like a Merlot or a Cab, whatever, it's a grape, was grown years and years ago, much like the T-Rex roamed the earth years and years ago, but it hadn't been spotted. It was thought to be extinct. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. And here is something important that not a lot of people understand. Let's go back in time, 1855. What happened in 1855? Emperor Napoleon III asked the negociants of Bordeaux, hey, can you come up with a list, so we can really know, what are the best wines, from Bordeaux, from France, because we have this universal fair in Paris. So basically, I want to show off with the other kings, from around the world. Okay, they put together this list. That year is very important, 1855. What happened on the 4th of July, 1855? An amazing poet self-published his first edition, Walt Whitman, Leaves of Grass, 1855. Right? Walt Whitman. There are other facts, around that they relate all this story to this. There was an American biologist in 1856, early 1856, that released a paper saying, look, there is a bug, this louse, that eats the superficial trunk of a vine or something like that. So watch out for this. Fast forward 10 years. Some people that brought in these vines, southern England, they brought that louse to France. The exchange, the trade between Bordeaux and London, etc., etc., etc. So basically, they found this bug that this American biologist, I don't recall the name, I can send it to you later on, was saying kind of like a few years ago, hey, watch out. There is this bug, this louse that may affect the vines. Well, it took them about 10 years, 1863, 1865, they realized this bug was eating the roots of vines and it was killing every single vineyard that you can imagine. About 70% of all the vines in France and the surrounding countries. Long story short.
The phylloxera is what this is.
That called. Is called phylloxera, that little bug. Chile nowadays is the only wine-producing country that is phylloxera free. Never had phylloxera. We have never had phylloxera anywhere in Chile.
So to bring this into perspective, just for those watching and tuning in, this would be a plant or a vine pandemic, because
yes,
it destroyed, as you
it
said.
Destroyed.
I mean, so many vineyards were destroyed, and in fact, it's interesting because there are some vineyards in certain parts of Eastern Europe and in Europe that are grown in sandy soil, and the root louse, this phylloxera little bug that Cristian's talking about, was unable to eat the roots. So there's a handful of vineyards in the sandy soil that survived, but
right.
So,
and here's where the story gets really, really interesting. So let's go back to what I said at the beginning. 1855, all those wines, the Premier Cru, the Deuxième Crus, etc., the great growth, all of them from Bordeaux had a little Carmenere in it. Pre-phylloxera days. Why?
Right.
Back in the day, around 1850, 55, when everything started going on with this louse, there were 6 varieties planted in Bordeaux. The main one was Cabernet Sauvignon. The second largest grape growing in Bordeaux at that time, Carmenere, Merlot, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, and in some areas, a little bit of Malbec as well. So what happened is that after you're a vigneron, you're a grape grower, and the way the experts treated this disease, basically, it wasn't with a vaccine or anything like that, or with voodoo or anything like that. They realized that American vines were resistant to this louse because this bug comes from America through southern England to France and spread out throughout the European continent. Okay, so the American vines were resistant. The rootstock were resistant to this bug. So basically, they came up with the idea of grafting the vines. So basically, grafting is taking a vine, chopping off part of the trunk, you keep the root structure, and then you just make a cut. There are different techniques that you can use. And then just put, say, a Cabernet Sauvignon, a Cabernet Franc, a Merlot, or whatever stock in there, and then it grows.
Right.
But
they use crazy glue just to glue it on there. Yeah.
That's right. There are different techniques to do the grafting, but you can do that with super glue.
Hey, but I want to jump to the real essence. So just to kind of bring this into context, is Carmenere they discovered, which was like, as you say, discovering a living T-Rex, and because it had been wiped out by this nasty root louse.
That's right.
There, but Chile remained, and somehow somebody, a French guy, brought some Carmenere over back pre-1855 to Chile, and it then proliferated. But then you, as an ambassador for Chile, okay, that's what I want to get to. Is you decided that it was your mission, not only to tell this story, but to bring Carmenere in your own way to America. And what did you do? And how did you decide to do that?
All right, 2005. Let's go back in time. 2005. That was the year that we were celebrating the 10th anniversary of making Carmenere as Carmenere. But as a country, as a wine producing country, it took us 10 years. Remember, November 1994, the harvest here in Chile is between February, March, April, early May for the reds in the southern hemisphere. So
because it's summertime there right now for you. It's just why you're going to be mountain biking there. By the way, I'm going on a bike ride after this webcast, even though I'm having a little sip on wine. So we will both be biking.
That's right.
Okay,
that's right.
So there you are, 2005.
2005, we were celebrating the 10th anniversary of basically making Carmenere as Carmenere and not as the Chilean version of the Merlot. And I had this idea. I always travel a lot, between 120, 150 days a year, which is crazy. And I was kind of burned out. I got fired. It wasn't my fault, so they say. And I decided to take a year off. I sat around my house for like a week or 10 days, and I said, screw it, man. I'm going to go crazy. The same place, the same apartment. I'm in Santiago. And I said, no. I got to come up with an idea or something because I have my bike in Chile. I have my savings, and you know what? It's time for me to hit the road.
And you also had some Carmenere.
And I had some Carmenere. So I put together this idea of, has anybody ridden a motorcycle from Chile all the way to New York with a bottle of Carmenere in their panniers? Nobody. So I said, okay, I am going to honor both of my cultures, the US, the American culture, and the Chilean culture. So I left Santiago, Chile on the 4th of July, who also left his California home state on the 4th of July.
I did.
You did. Right. So my mission was to go around Latin America and some states in the United States, because I wanted to leave Chile, Santiago, on the 4th of July, Independence Day, and I had to arrive to New York City, on Chile's Independence Day, September 18th. 21,000 miles.
Independence from
in
Spain.
77 days. That's right, the independence from Spain. So
yes. In 77 days. How many miles?
Average 500 per day. Average.
No. How many miles total?
Total 21,000. What happens out of I got there day 76.
So like 35,000 kilometers.
Yeah. 42 were on the bike, riding the bike. And then the rest, of course, barges through the Amazon jungle for a week, etc. And then ferries, to cross the Darien Gap, etc., etc., etc. So altogether, when you divide 21,000 divided by 42, 46, something like that, it gives you an average of just over 500 miles per day. But these are no interstate highways like in the United States. As you know,
no.
Latin America, Chile is kind of an exception, and some other countries, like in Mexico, they paid the some of those highways in there, but the rest of Latin America, unfortunately, the road infrastructure is pretty weak. Let's put it that way.
So you hardly were spending any time. Your mission was simply to get, but you chose not just a bottle of Carmenere. What is that bottle? What's the size of that bottle?
This is what's called a double magnum. A magnum bottle of wine is a regular bottle is 750 ml. A magnum is 1.5, double. A double magnum is 3 liters.
So you got 3 liters. So this on a motorcycle, which you've got to be a little bit have a little bit of be careful about how much you're packing. You don't want to be carrying something too heavy, because you are going to be on some of these nasty roads, which I did in Bolivia. Crashed on one of those roads.
Right, your leg,
crushed my leg. So you spent 77 days, and you brought a double magnum to U.S. Leaving American Independence Day in July from Santiago, the capital there, and you took it to New York City. Where did you finally pull out that bottle? Where in New York were you?
Okay, when I got there, I stayed at a friend's house. So I got there Saturday, September the 17th. So we had a beautiful welcome party, we popped a bottle of wine, many that night, and we had a nice dinner with some friends. The next morning, I rode my bike. I asked, a police officer if he would let me, take my final picture. I always had this in my mind when I left Chile. I want to have my bike, my bottle of Carmenere, and I have this on video on my Instagram. I'll let you know my Instagram later on. I have this last day video on my Instagram. And I went to Battery Park. So Battery Park, you have the Statue of Liberty, in background. So I took that last picture, which is going to become the cover of my book that is coming up this year about this story.
And for those of you tuning in, and for those of you in the live call, we'll put a link to this Instagram in the description below for the replay, so you can see this. I wish we had this now, but we will get you back, Cristian. Hey, and we're also running out of time. I usually try to keep these webcasts to an hour, but we're going to go a little bit over, because we still have Jack Mays who needs to get online here and chat with him. But So tell us just briefly what you're doing now, and tell us about. I know you're exporting some wines, and some people can find some of the wines here and where they might find them to have a little bit of Carmenere that might be.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm the commercial director for, I'm in charge of the entire world. We export to over 35 countries worldwide, and we do a little over 700,000 cases altogether. In the United States, we're well distributed at Trader Joe's. We have brand.
What are some of the brands?
Yes, one of the brands, the main brand is called Panilonco. Panilonco wines. Panilonco. So Panilonco, we have two blends in there. One is a Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot or Merlot Malbec or something like that, and the other one is a Carmenere, actually. So we have them at Trader Joe's. We have other brands, but that's one of our most important brands that we have. And also at grocery outlet, pretty soon we're gonna have a wine called Santa Marta. But before we go, right after we met, we kept in touch. And actually, I have a BMW GS Adventure in Holland, or the Netherlands now. The Netherlands, because I installed and I had built a sidecar. That bike, you can see some pictures, on my Instagram, is ready to roll. I was about to start my world tour on different stages last year. I was living in Miami for a while, just crossing my fingers that the bike will, go away. That didn't happen. They offered me this job about 6 months ago, came back to Santiago, and here I am talking to you, waiting for the borders to open up again.
So that's so crazy. So you just got caught with circumstance. You had a bike modified with a sidecar. Well, was the sidecar there just so you could carry more wine? Because I've run into that problem. I can't keep so much on there. Is that why you did that?
Yeah, one of the reasons, but the most important reason is I have a 13-year-old boy. We live together, and Sebastian, he's my sidekick. He's everything I have in my life. He's the joy of my life. My happiness is him. And so I promise him, because we did some trips around Latin America, Patagonia, Brazil on sidecar. And I remember we were in Uruguay one day and we were having a blast. And I say, honey, would you like to go around the world with me? I love to that. All right. I promise you, we'll do that. And we were about to start our trip last year when the whole coronavirus hit us. But hey, as a stoic man, we just put up with it. You cannot control it, so don't worry about it. Hey, just do what you gotta do today, and we'll come around and we'll come and see you in California again, my brother.
Oh, I can't wait, and I want to get back to Chile. There's another thing I should mention while you're on here is not only did you visit me here in California a couple times since we first met back in Santiago years before, you also helped out my friend Rob Rill, who was competing not in a motorcycle but in a rally raid 4x4.
That's right.
in the Dakar back in 2012. Yes. And we got to have a little bit of wine and some good Chilean food while we were in the Dakar, and you helped us out immensely as a fixer for
That's right.
Chilean leg. So
That's right. I took a couple of weeks off from my work, always in the wine industry. I rode my bike to come and see you. I met you guys in northern Argentina, close to Salta. Then we went over the highest border crossing between Argentina and Chile that in meters is a little over 4,500 meters, and that's pretty high, and then we went to, the desert in Chile, and then we had that problem in Copiapó that we had to fix, the shaft of the truck or something like that.
The shocks, yeah. Oh, good Lord. Yes, the memories. Hey, well, Cristian, I miss you. I love you, man. And it's been way too long. We've got so much more to talk about. Yes, we need to drink some Carmenere. So we're gonna schedule you on another Journeys Webcast so that we can get in and I can show some of these videos and we can bring up some of the pictures. This is just like a spontaneous kind of thing. So
we'll do, brother.
Much more for the next one, but I send you good luck that not only will you be able to get with Sebastian, your son, and get on a world tour, but I wish everybody in Chile that all of us have get a handle on this virus, get the vaccines out so we can go back to work, go to school, and sit at a bar and have a glass of wine with a plate of charcuterie. I had to say it again.
I had charcuteria. We love that. We love that. Well, as you know, half of my family is American. You know, they all live in the United States. Half of us here in Chile. So the U.S. is just like Chile to me. It's in my heart. It's my culture. It's my country. I do have the accent, and but nothing. I wish you and your friends and the viewers, you know, the very best, because this thing is gonna be over. We just gotta hang in there. Hang in there. It's gonna be over soon.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for tuning in. We'll put all those links you can see up in the chat column. Get to Cristian's Instagram, and you'll see some of those crazy videos, pictures of that car, that sidecar, and that. Okay, Cristian, we'll see you soon, man. Thanks for tuning in.
Rock on. Thank you for the invitation. Bye, guys.
Yeah. Bye. Okay. I know we, you know, see, this is the problem with you know, hanging out with so many friends, so much to talk about. I'm going to play one thing, and I'm going to send a shout out because I didn't find this. This is something that is so cool. I want to share with you one video before I go. And I thank my friend Tim Amos, who sometimes tunes in here and watches the show, but he sent me a video yesterday that is just so remarkable. And I joke around that I was looking for a new gimbal, you know, a new stabilizer for my camera. So when we go out and shoot like that TV show, you know, we can do that. So this is a video of a new kind of gimbal or stabilizer, but it's not necessarily for a camera. It's for the head of a hawk. Check it out. I mean, look at this guy. He's got a hawk in his house, which is crazy enough as it is. But he moves the body, but that head, look at his head. It never moves. And this is because hawks, who are hawkish when it comes to spotting prey on the ground, have to be look, he's got a Turkish flag back there too. So maybe this guy's in Turkey. I don't know. But this is on YouTube. Tim sent it to me yesterday. It is remarkable. So you imagine you see those hawks circling above, and they're flying, but they can be so, you know, we have the term eagle eye. Well, this is hawk eye, and they can spot anything. I mean, that is just such a cool thing. Thank you, Tim Amos, for sending that. I mean, isn't that something crazy? Yeah, that bird is so focused. You're right, Sitara. You know, this is like I said, my favorite thing on Monday. Yeah, other guests. We've got more musicians coming on. Just you're already, I hope, subscribed to my email list, so you'll get the notifications on Mondays. Definitely tune in. Hey, and if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, be sure you get over there and do that. I'm going to put that link in the description below. I'm going to actually put it up again on the offer side here. So for those of you new who dropped in, I'm Allan Karl, the host of Journeys, Adventure and Discovery in the Time of Corona. That's what we say here. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And we will see you next Monday, same place, same time. Thank you for tuning in to the Journeys Webcast. I'm Allan Karl, your host. Be sure to tune us in every Monday. The time changes depending on where we are in the world. This is Allan Karl, and where will your next journey take you? Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you supporting and watching every Monday. We'll see you next week.